when we will have it then in the lecture, di na ko mag-require ninyo to show the calculation or the computation. Ang importante is sakto ang inyuhang pagplot sa given vectors. You use the appropriate scale, sakto ang measurement, because kung sakto ang measurement, sakto ang pagplot, you will always get the correct value of your resultant, which is 18.1, and with a given angle, 83.7 degrees. Nasabtan ba, class?
Yes,
Yes,
miss.
miss.
Oh, so dili na kinahanglan ha. So ang hitabo noon kay medyo nataas-taas iyong process, but it's just okay. It's one way actually of verifying the result ang kanang computation nga part. Sige. Now, I do have here a question with your data and results, especially for these vectors A and B. There are certain components whose values are actually zero. If we go back to vector A, whose magnitude is 12 and the angle is about 90 degrees, why is it that its x component's value is equal to zero?
Kay 90 degrees man siya, miss. So, mag-lie siya sa x-axis, miss. Ang line.
Maglay siya sa x-axis?
Ang vertical ay ang wala siya horizontal, miss, kay ang angle niya kay naa man siya sa x-axis mismo ng zero ang x component niya.
So where does the vector lie? Where does the vector lie in this case?
Sa x component ay sa y-axis, miss,
Sa
na 12 12
y-axis. Yes. So if we go into now to your screenshot sa kani inyong graph, this would serve now as your first vector. It exactly lies at the y-axis. And since it lies exactly at the y-axis, it is understood that there is no x component because the given angle for this given vector relative to the positive x-axis, it's about 90 degrees. This is the point which I have mentioned earlier sa lecture, that when we will be representing the angle or direction for a given vector, our reference axis will always be the positive x-axis. So kung atong tan-awon from the given of the first vector, indeed 90 gud siya, kaya atong reference axis man is the positive x-axis. So it exactly lies at the y-axis. So zero iyahang x component. How about in this given case, sa kaning vector B, nganong zero man ang iyahang y? What does
Same
this mean?
explanation, miss, since zero
Mm.
degree man siya, miss, so relative siya sa kanang like mag-lie siya sa x-axis, miss, since zero degree, so wala siya kanang kuan, so zero iyahang y component.
Okay, so this is the case that we are referring to. Okay, since it's head to tail, atong gisumpay, vector 1, vector 2. You connect the second vector to the arrowhead of the first vector. And this is now the third vector. Looking into now the orientation class of the third vector, the given magnitude, that's 8.5, and the angle, it's 135 degrees. So this is now the orientation. What makes vector C class different from vectors A and B? Say kalahian niya. Unsay kalahian?
Direction.
Aside from the direction, take a look at that.
Negative lang si miss. Ay,
Ha? Oh, maski tan-awon pa nato ang table of values na gyud sila kalahian. Say
negative
kalahian.
yung X component, miss.
Negative yung x component. Aside from that, say
Ay, over
kalahian.
siya sa 90 degrees, miss.
Again, please.
Over siya sa 90 degrees.
The angle is greater than 90. Other than that, unsay kalahian niya
Diagonal
from
siya,
vectors
miss.
A and B? It is unsa?
Diagonal.
And so, what does it mean? Sige lang tanawa oh, from even from the table of values. Vector C, 8.5 angle 135 degrees. Ang sabihin na bantayan? Oh, vector A ang x component, wala. Pero na siya y. Vector B, na siya x component, iyang y component, wala. Atong vector C, what can we see?
Like opposite ilahang x and y component miss.
Opposite iyang x and y, is it? Other than that, tanawa. Ang kalahian sa vector C from vectors A and B. Even looking into its orientation. It is this time described to be what? Atong vector 1 lies along the y, vector B, I mean vector A lies along the y, vector B lies along the x. How about vector C? I am giving you now the idea. How about vector C? Class. How about vector C? Uy. Sige, nabantayan na to.
Both have x and y component.
It has, louder please.
It has both has and y component.
It has both values for the x and the y component. In other words, this is an example of a two-dimensional vector. Right? Hello? Sakto?
Yes, miss.
Oh, yes, Jude. Kaya ang atong vector A and B, this is one-dimensional. That is why, if we go back then from the table, from your data, tanawa good, vector A, mo ba ito nangutana kung anong zero ang x component sa vector A, kay ang kaning vector A lies exactly at the y-axis. This is a one-dimensional. Vector B, nangutana ko nga ang yung y component 0 because this lies exactly at the x-axis. This is also one-dimensional. But vector C, this is quite different. If you check from the given table, that's your x or y components because it crosses two axes, making it having an x component and a y component. Right? Nakita? Nakuha ang concept? Class?
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Mm.
miss.
Yes,
And
miss.
with this given angle of 135 degrees, can you tell me asa na ni siya nga quadrant naglay ang kani nga vector? Asa ni naglay?
First,
Quadrant 1.
Quadrant 1? Sure?
Quadrant 2 miss.
135
2.
degrees.
2.
6 ang iyang x component.
2.
Quadrant, ano to?
2.
2.
Quadrant 2. Yes. So now, if we will be getting the resultant using the head to tail, you draw an arrow from the point of origin to the arrowhead of the last vector, the one indicated in blue. Kani. This is the resultant vector. Again, I'd like to ask, if I'll be asking you now to draw the given angle and measure that given angle, where is now the angle of our resultant? Asaan ni Tapita? From asa gaita ato atong reference axis?
gikan sa kanang nay dark blue or the resultant vector padung sa x-axis.
Okay, from this to this. Sakto? Kani?
Yes, ma'am.
Mao ba? Okay. Our angle class, if we are asked then to measure the given angle of our resultant, our reference axis will always be the positive x-axis, and we go up counterclockwise. Reference angle. So positive x, go up counterclockwise to where the given vector is, the resultant vector. This is now the given angle. And based from the given simulation, it's about 83.7 degrees. So it lies at quadrant 1 with the direction of north of east. Okay, sige. Let us now proceed. Thank you, group. It's a nga group. Group 3. Now we proceed to group 1. Obota. Ready na ta, Obota?
Yes, ma'am.
Sige. Okay, your turn.
So, part 2A, given vectors. Vector A, 10.0 at 90 degrees. Vector B, 9.0 at 0 degree. Vector C, 8.6 at 125.5 degree. Vector D, 7.0 at 180 degrees. So given vector A, magnitude of 10.0 and angle 90 degree. So the x and y components basically means ang ilahang movement from towards x and y axis. Since kaning um vector A magnitude 10.0 then ang iyang direction kay 90 degree. So ninglayra ni siya sa y-axis. From the
Yes.
origin, sa origin ang iyahang kuan tail, then ang iyang head kay naa sa 0.0010. So ni-move siya 10 units pa sa 10 units towards y-axis, then 0 sa x-axis. So for vector B, magnitude 9.0 at 0 degrees. So nasa ni siya nilay sa x-axis. Ni-move siya og from the head sa vector A, or ang head sa vector A kinasad ang tail sa vector B. So ni-move siya og 9 units padong sa right. So moong ang x component kay 9, then wala ra ni move sa towards x-axis. So mong 0 ra ang yang. So for vector C, 8.6 at 125.5 degree. So ni-move siya sa x-axis, both x and y-axis. So ni-move siya og negative 5. So means negative 5 padong siya sa left. Kung positive padong right, then left kung negative. So ni-move siya og 5 units padong left, then isaka siya, ni-move pa saka og 7 units. So mo ni ang mong inani ang porma sa ay wala.
Sige,
So
ang
mo
forma.
ina
Okay.
mo
Muna
inani ang
nino.
porma kay from
Okay.
gikan sa tail sa vector C kaning ko ano gikan sa tail ni-move siya og 5 units to the left. Then isaka siya og
Okay.
7 units mo ang iyahang head na ani dapita. Then
Okay.
for
So if we move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And it
5,
moved
yes, then
up
isaka siya og
7.
7
Ah,
mo
okay.
naa na siya. Then
Okay.
sa
Okay. Last one. Okay, 4 manika vectors.
vector vector D, 7 magnitude 7 at 180 degrees. So um ni-move siya o since 180 siya, naa siya
Mm.
nilay sa x-axis. Pero ang iyang
Particularly, asa
direction,
nga direction, yeah?
niya padung nasad sa left.
Okay, good. So, balik to sa iyong graph. So, this is now
Mo ni ang
factor
vector
D,
D,
right?
vector
Mm.
D. So ni-move siya og negative 7
7.
units padung sa left. I don't
1,
know.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So mo to then ang resultant vector kay mo kuha naman na diretso naman automatic naman to siya good. So
Oh,
amar tong
pero
sunod.
if you're asked to plot,
Pero
asa man
ang
ta
pagplot
mag-draw?
kay ang tail kay naa sa origin jud kay naman ta nag-start here. Then
Yes,
ang head
exactly.
kay adto sa head sa pinakalas nga vector which is the vector D.
Yes. Okay, so this is
So,
now the resultant, right?
yes.
Okay, so what's the value?
So, bali, ang magnitude is 17.3 at 100 degree. Then, it moves 3 units pa dun sa left, then up 17 units upward. So,
Okay,
mo to.
so if that's the given case, so asa ni diri ang 100-degree angle kung mo netong resultant?
So, ang resultant kay gikan sa kaning blue or the resultant vector, kaning dark blue, padung sa x-axis nga positive
So
or
kani siya,
clockwise. Clockwise.
no?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Pero kung mag-measure ta, para di ta maglibog, it's always counterclockwise kay reference angle man ta. Atong reference point magid is always the positive x-axis. Okay? Kani positive x, you go up to where the given vector is. Mo man ni atong resultant. Nag-follow mo sa akong cursor class. Ha? Hello? Nag-follow mo?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm. So positive x, you go up counter. This is the given angle nga 100 degrees. Okay? That's it. So this is correct. Thank you, Obota from group 1. Now we proceed to part B. By the way, naay mga questions? Pangutana, please. Kinsay na pangutana? Wala? Wala ra? Can we proceed now to part B?
Yes, miss.
Sige. This time we will be hearing from Sowai Baguio of group 2.
So in part B, we are asked to plot A, 15 meters at 45 degrees. B is 7.5 meters at 90 degrees. C, 5 meters at 0 degrees. And the sum. The
Okay, sige.
sum.
Diri sa ta. Later na ta ani,
So,
diri sa ta sa iyang pagplot. Sige.
yes, miss. So, kuan, ang scale na mo gigamit is 1 meter is to 1 cm. So, to be
Okay.
specific, ang two lines sa graphing paper, miss, is mo na siyang 1 cm na mo, which is
Mm,
equivalent to 1 meter.
bali ang duha ka grid. You're
Yes,
referring to the grid of the graphing paper. Sige.
yes, miss.
Okay. So,
So, first is A, the
mm,
vector A. So, since 15 meters ang ato ang magnitude and then 45 degrees ang angle, so since 45 degrees siya, that
mm,
means nga ang iyahang kuan is exactly 1 by 1 iyahang kuan, miss. So if we move kuan pataas 1, ang sa right
mm.
side it's 1 unit.
Okay. Uh, where is now the angle for this? I'm just checking kung kababagin mo mo plot ano. Asang
Dara,
angle ani mo nitong vector A. So just tell me, ka ako rin mag-point from
ay wait lang isa. Kuan, miss, from x-axis, miss,
tapos so this is
and then
positive x
to the A nga kuan, miss, line.
to the A
Na,
vector, this one.
yeah,
So this is the given angle.
yes,
Okay?
miss.
And this holds true to other vectors that you will be plotting. Again, class, you will always have the positive axis as your reference axis in measuring the angle. Okay? Sige, next.
So since 15 meters siya, so atong i-move ani is kuan 15 units, but since two lines ang iyahang kuan
Mm,
meter, so that means na 30 units atong i-move to the north of east. So
okay.
here sa muan siya diri sa head sa A nga vector.
Okay.
And then next nga giplot is i-connect na to ang B.
B. This is your
So
B. Okay.
yes. So since it's 90 degrees man, so that
Mm,
means na parallel siya sa y-axis.
correct.
And then 7.5 meters. So i-times 2 na nimo para kung pila ka units imong i-move
Mm,
to, to the kuan pa taas, miss.
pataas.
Yes. And then after ana i-connect na sad ang C sa head sa kuan. Ay sa head sa B nga
B.
vector.
Okay, so this is now your
Then
C.
Yes, miss.
Okay.
So since it's 5 meters, and then times 2 nimo siya para makuha nimo is 10 units imong i-move to the left since ay to the
To
right
the
kay
right.
positive siya. And
Okay.
then since zero iyang kuan degrees kay kuan na siya miss parallel siya sa x-axis.
Exactly, as shown in your graph. And
Yes.
lastly, for your
And then
resultant,
later for sorry resultant miss kay sa graph ani niya is ang tail sa resultant is kanang connected sa tail sa first nga vector which is A, and then iyang head kay connected sa last nga vector which is C.
okay, or
And
simply
then
you mark the arrow from the point of origin, right?
yes,
Or like ang tails the first vector always come from the point of origin. Okay.
yes,
And
miss.
then,
So ang sa resultant ani niya is amor siyang i-calculator ay I mean kanang katong kuan miss automatic na.
mm,
And then kuan since mas ang iyahang magnitude is 23.9 meters. And then
mm,
ang iyahang degrees is 49.2 degrees north of east. And then if we kuan kanang notice na kanang 49 degrees siya anya mas taas siya sa A nga ato ang kuan vector miss. Kay since
okay.
45 degrees ra ang kuan.
Did you still calculate the value of the resultant or nag-measure na lang mo sa length of the given arrow for its magnitude?
Kuan nag-measure na lang mi miss.
Yes, kay graphical man siya. No need na gid mo to compute. And I'd like to inform you, labi na sa graphical, naagid ni siya inaccuracy, labi na sa results. Like, you can't get exactly the exact amount. Kaya naamang good na errors from our tools and instruments, such as what we call as random errors. Like, dili ba ni calibrated ang protractor nga yung gigamit, even ang ruler nga yung gigamit, di ba? Lain-laing brand, lain-lain pod ang pagmark sa, what do you call this one, sa grids sa imuhang ruler. So mo matter pod ang imong pag-measure, even the graphing paper that you used. So muhatag ra gyud consideration class as long as ang values niyo are not too far from the exact value. I can accept class values plus minus 0.5. So, muna na ang room for error ninyo, plus minus 0.5 for that. uh, for me to accept your given value. Okay? Nasabta na ba ang part B, class?
Yes, miss.
Sige. We proceed now to the answer of question number 1. Group 4, let's listen from Tero. Ready
So
na ta?
after yes ma'am.
Sige, for a while ha. Let me
Okay.
go down to your answer. Okay, please read the question first.
Why do you think the head to tail method of vector addition is called the polygon method?
Mm.
So after plotting all the graphs and completing all the tables, we have here guide questions. And based from our observation, the head to tail method of vector addition is sometimes called the polygon method because basically when you draw vectors using this method, they sort of create the sides of a polygon. So each vector starts where the previous one ends, forming a chain of vectors that make up the shape of a polygon. So next question, what is the importance of
Lahi na
creating
ni siya.
okay.
Oh, okay. So, your answer is actually correct. Other textbooks do call this one as the polygon method of vector addition because as you plot and connect vectors from one to another, you are actually creating class a certain shape of a polygon. So the moment you draw now the resultant vector, you are already forming a closed polygon. Muna gitawag siya nga polygon method of vector addition. All right. Thank you. And natural this time. It's your turn.
Okay, miss. For number 2, what is the importance of creating a scale when plotting vectors graphically?
Oh, kadali
So
ha.
creating it.
For a while sa para mabasa pod sa tanan kadali. Okay. Nakita na ninyo? Natural? Inday?
Yes,
Hello?
Miss.
Ah, sige. Okay.
So creating a scale and plotting vectors graphically is important for several reasons. A scale provides consistency in the representation of vectors across different graphs. It allows us to translate the length of the arrow into the vector's magnitude. So without a scale, it would be difficult to determine the actual length or magnitude of the vectors being plotted, or you might end up drawing very large or very small vectors depending on their actual magnitudes.
Exactly. Okay. I'd like then to quote your answer for this. Sakto ka ni inyong answer. It allows you then to translate the actual length of the vector's magnitude. Remember, some of the given vectors class, their magnitudes are too large or too small. So if too large tendency dili gid nato siya ma-draw sa graphing paper kay perti mang dakuha or taasa, or too small po gagmay po kaayo ang given nga vector, we might not be able to visualize it. So the purpose of scaling is to accurately and precisely represent what that vector is. And another thing that you've mentioned, quoting again your statement, without the scale it would be difficult to determine the actual length of the given vectors plotted. Thus, I'll be very particular, class, looking into the scale that you used when you are plotting or illustrating or graphing your given vectors. Okay, that is one way of checking as to how I will be interpreting then the length of your given vector. All right? Questions? Tay pangutana?
Wala, miss.
Nasabtam na ba so far? Class? Balik ko sa Google Meet interface. Nasabtan na ba?
Yes, miss.
Sabtan na,
Ah,
Miss.
okay.
Yes.
For a while, class, ha? Okay, so since there are no questions, that's good. By the way, in our lecture mo padayon patas our discussion for vectors, but this time we will be emphasizing now to the analytical method of vector addition. Although none of my idea on how to do this, because as mentioned by some of the groups as they present their data and results, they have mentioned that they did calculation in solving for the resultant vector. And as you do it, you're actually doing class the component method of vector addition, meaning in each given vector, you are trying to resolve it in terms of its component. So for that vector, atong isolve pila yung x component, pila po dihang y component. And after resolving it for its individual components, we get the overall sum of the x and the y components, and we use now the Pythagorean to get now the resultant, and at the same time we solve as well the angle for the given direction of our resultant a vector, utilizing then the tangent theta in solving for that. So that's how it goes for the component method of vector addition. So it's like what I've said, it's really best good ang setup kung usara ang teacher sa lecture and the lab kay in discussing as well for the lecture dali na pag-suffice sa discussion sa lecture kay you have already performed a certain experiment in the laboratory, so dali ra gid nyo ma-relate ang mga concepts. Okay? For experiment number 2, class. um move na ta for another topic. So, a little bit ma-advance na gamay ang atong lab. Expected man yun na kay sa lecture man good mas thorough ang discussion for the given topic. Experiment number 2 now deals with free falling body. Okay? So, allow me now to share class the lab guide that you will be performing. Okay. This is now experiment number 2, motion of a free falling body. So, the goal or objective for this experiment is that you are expected to calculate the value of g, that's acceleration due to gravity, using the free fall method. So, these are the materials that you do need. Any type of ball, if you have a ping pong ball, pwede. If you have a tennis ball or if you have a marble, pwede sa kaayo na siya magamit. So, either kung unsa inyong available sa balay, pwede ka na inyong gamiton. And aside from that, you need a meter stick or tape measure and a timer. The idea class for this given experiment, this is one way actually of verifying the value of acceleration due to gravity, which is equal to 9.8 meters per second square. What does that 9.8 stand for? May kita mo memorize ani kaning value nga 9.8 meters per second square. That value class, it's the value of acceleration due to gravity, meaning to say the body accelerates due to the pull of gravity or due to the gravitational pull of the earth of an object. And that value means that in every given second, the velocity of the body changes uniformly with a value of 9.8 meters per second. Muna pasabot ang meters per second square. Like in every given second, the velocity changes constantly at a rate of 9.8 meters per second. So with this given experiment, ma-verify ninyo o makita nato nga tinuod ba gyud nga ang value sa acceleration is actually equal to 9.8. And with this given free fall method experiment, we can also cause somehow do or um, perform what Galileo uh, did with that given experiment sa Leaning Tower of Pisa. Kato nag-drop pud siya og balls sa Leaning Tower, wherein he was able actually to calculate the value of acceleration due to gravity, which is equal to 9.8. Okay? And just to give you then an idea, nganong gitawag di siya ma'am og free fall? Sa pasabot anang term nga free. Galileo, with his experiment katong sa Leaning Tower of Pisa, he found out that if we disregard class or take not into account the presence of air or disregarding the air resistance acting on an object that is falling, the value of the object's acceleration or rate of change of its velocity is constant. Kung atong i-disregard ang presence sa air, ang presence sa drag caused by the air, kung atong siyang i-disregard, ang acceleration for any falling body is always 9.8 meters per second square. So, atong ma-prove po na kana nga value with that given experiment. So, the setup is similar to what Galileo did sa katong Leaning Tower of Pisa. You will also be dropping balls at different heights. So, again, if you choose uh, to have a marbles experiment, dapat in conducting the rest of the trials, same ball, type of ball ra inyong gamiton para dili mo change ang results. So, kung marble, tennis ball, or ping pong, whatever is that. And This will now be the table that where you will be noting down the results. So at a particular distance, you will be noting class the time of fall of that given object or ball that you will be releasing from a certain height. So the heights are at 1.5 meters, at 2 ay starting the ay kay 5 heights man 1 meter, 1.5, 2 meters, 2.5 and 3 meters. So muna i-note dire at 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5 and 3 meters. And you will be allowing the ball to fall at that height. You will be taking note class the time of fall and perform it for about 5 trials. Okay? Ang importante diri class no kay dapat update atong reflexes at the same time ang gadgets nga atong gamiton, especially the timer or the cell phone, in measuring the amount of time of fall, dili siya lag. Okay? Kay kung dili active atong reflex, sa example, uwahi ang response sa inyong finger ini-click sa pag-pause sa time, tendency is nanani error sa value sa amount of time that has elapsed as the body falls towards the ground. So kinahanglan uptick gyud ang ato ang reflexes ani. Okay? In as much as possible kung naamoy katong yung timer gyud mas maayo, pero pwede ra man pod class ang cellphone basta lagi abdik ra pod mo nga maka-click sa or pag-pause sa timer sa inyong phone, kay mo matter gyud siya gyud basta um magtinanga ta. So observe gyud pag-ayo the moment pag-release, then the moment it hits from the ground, click dayon and measure dayon ang time. Okay? Ma'am, nga importante man kaayo ni nga sakto ang values because I'll be asking you class to plot the given values in a graph. So there will be two graphs that you will be plotting the given values na atay distance versus time graph and 2D versus time square graph. Okay. Since given naman ang distance and ang time, mo man ni inyong i-measure, right, from the given experiment. So you will be plotting it. Now, since in each distance, naaman mo gikandak nga 5 trials, so in plotting it, what you will be plotting now for the time is the average time of fall per distance. So you do have 5 points in your graph. Ang time is the average time of fall for that specific height or distance. Same thing then with 2D versus time square or t square graph. Ang time din yung gamiton will be the average time of fall for that specific height or distance. But you will be squaring it or raising it then to the power of 2. Okay? Ma'am, unsay purpose aning ano nahimo naman ning 2D versus versus time square graph? I am including this kay in this type of graph class sa 2D versus t square, I'll be asking you then to calculate the slope of the line because the slope class of this given 2D versus time square graph gives you the value of your experimental value of g. The slope is just equal to g or acceleration due to gravity. How is it possible? That is possible class if we refer to this given kinematic equation. This is one of the derived kinematic equation for a body moving in uniform accelerated motion. I will be discussing more to this in the lecture how this equation is derived. But here in the lab, di sa ko mo discuss ani. Ang importante nato here in the lab is makuha nato ang data for the average time of fall, ato siyang maplot, and we do graphical analysis para ma-describe nato whether the body has really accelerated og matanaw pod nato ang values sa slope out from the given graph. So with this given equation, one of the kinematic equation for a body moving in uniform accelerated motion. By the way, a body moving in free fall is an example of a body moving in uniform accelerated motion. Nga gitawag man siya uniform accelerated motion because as I have mentioned earlier, in a free falling body, we are disregarding the value of air resistance, and as based from the experiment conducted by Galileo disregarding the effect of air resistance or that drag, it is observed that the body will fall or will accelerate uniformly. And unsa may value sa iyahang acceleration, that uniform rate about 9.8 meters per second square. As I've said, in every given second, the rate of change of its velocity is constant, and that is about 9.8 meters per second. That's the meaning of that. So, with this given equation, if we rearrange this given equation class, kaning d is equal to VIT. VI means initial velocity of a moving body. T here means time plus 1 half gt square. So if this body initially started at rest, this VIT becomes zero. So matangtang na ni. What will be left in our equation will be d is equal to 1 half gt square. So rearranging the given equation, okay, we have d is equal to 1 half gt square. The equation becomes 2d equal to gt square. Naka-follow, class? Hello?
Yes, Miss.
Oh, so it becomes 2d equal to gt square, or if we further manipulate the equation, g is equal to 2d all over t square. Nakuha? 2d all over t square. Hello? Which is equal to g.
Yes, miss.
Mm. Yeah, how can we relate this one then to slope? Tanawa ang form ani nga equation nga d is equal to VIT is plus 1 half gt square. It's just equal actually to y is equal to mx plus b. The VIT here would represent now as our b, okay, the y-intercept, and 1 half gt squared, this g here would represent now class our m, our slope, okay, and the t here would represent then class our x value. Muna y is our d, muning value sa ato ang rise is equal to mx. M, that's the slope, that's g. X represented by our t square. Muna, one of the graph here is your asked to plot 2D versus t square graph. Kaya ang atong x, ang kaning nga equation, kung atong i-rearrange, it follows the given equation, y is equal to mx plus b. The g is our m, t square is our x. Okay, and if we rearrange this one half ato siyang cross multiply, this becomes 2d class. So our 2d here will represent our value for our rise or the y. So kung ato siyang i-rearrange, if the VIT here is cancelled or when the body is assumed to be initially at rest, so matangtang ning VIT, what is left here is 2d is equal to uh, gt squared. So rearranging 2d divided by t squared is equal to g. G, that's equal to m. Diba? M means slope. Slope, that's the change of our rise divided by the change of our run. Our rise here would represent 2d and our run here would represent the t square. So, kung sakto ang inyong pag-perform ani sa experiment, it is expected that the slope should be closely equal to the theoretical value of g, which is equal to 9.8. And that is why I will ask you to compute now the percent error as you perform the given experiment. This is now the given equation. Percent error, that's equal to the absolute value of g. This is the theoretical value. muna inyuhang theoretical value nga i-substitute, that's the 9.8, minus the experimental value. This is what you will get out from that graph, the slope of the graph of 2D versus t square, divided by the theoretical value of g times 100. So makita na ako kung well-performed ang experiment, sakto ang pagka-perform, because you would have then lesser value of percent error. Kay kung dako kay kag percent error, dako pasabot ana nga ang inyuhang values sa elapsed time or sa time of fall, diha jud mo nasayop. Labi na kung dili uptick ang ato ang reflexes as you measure the amount of time of fall. Okay? Is it clear, class?
Yes,
Nasabtan?
Miss.
Sige. For this given experiment, you may use the Excel class in graphing. I do suggest nga i-Excel ninyo kay para mas maklaro nato ang dagan sa iyong data and makita pod nato ang trend line pod sa inyong graph. I think you know how to use the Excel. Di na ko kinahanglan mag-tutorial ani. No? Kabaw mo gamit, right? Hello? Kabaw mo graph using the Excel? Class?
Not so.
Hala, not so? Sure mo, oy. Wala mo kakasway gamit sa Excel? How about others? Wala mo kasway ani? Class. Uy, wala na lagi mananingog. Are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am,
Mm.
nakasuway.
Nakasuway di ay. Okay. Katong niingon og not so, tuluitin niyo yung classmate ha, on how to use it. Dali ra kaay na. All you have to do when you open then the Excel, naman ay columns, right? Use the very first column, class. You will input there the value for your x, and the second column you will input there the value for your y. Then i-highlight ra na ninyo, then i-click to nyo ang katong warag tab nga portion sa taas, insert din mo nga graph. Oh, makita na din na ninyo pila unsay shape sa graph ninyo. And then naasay portion po dito nga makita pod ninyo actually ang trend line, even ang equation pod sa inyong graph, makita po na dito. And I was hoping kabaw na mo gamit ana kay second year na baya mo. Okay? So sige lang. Makat-on na gid mo kay you will be performing then this experiment. Okay. So, any questions?
Wala, Miss.
Wala. How about the others? Mas nindot magud i-Excel class kaysa imano-mano nato kay mas accurate gud siya sa pag-represent sa graph. Pero kung ginahan gyud mong imano-mano ninyo, basta tarungan lang gyud ninyo um, ang pag-graph, okay ra gyud ko, walay problema. Pero kung ginamog easy way, nga mas makita gyud, especially ang equation, okay, by looking into the equation of the line, makita ba ninyo pila value sa slope? Because that value of the slope mo ba ninyo ang theoretical value? Okay? Sige. Questions? I'll go back to the Google Meet interface ha. Sige. Yes, Rio, you're raising your hand.
Ay, sa PPT, ma'am, mag-send ka sa G-class.
What do you mean by koan? Sa
PPT
kaning
sa link. Sa link ag sa lab.
yes. For the lecture, mag-send ko. For
Okay,
the
ma'am.
lab, ma-relate na naman po ninyo, class, ang sa tawag ani ang sa concept kay based from our discussion. Ang importante magud sa lab is nasabtan nato ang data and results. Muna mag-post lab discussion gud ko. It's very important that you should be present in class. Okay? Okay, ang concept itself, pareha naman gyapon sa lecture. Ang akuan lang sa lab is, kamo mismo ang nag-perform, and then as you perform it, nasabta ninyo ang concept that what the experiment is all about. Okay? Napailaing concern? May laing pangutana?
Wala naman.
Wala na. Okay. Walay ka ng pangutana sa experiment number 2. I will
Oh,
upload class in the Google Classroom ang lab guide for experiment number 2. Wala? May pangutana?
Wala ra, miss.
Sige. Okay. Kawa na may pangutana. By the way, ang output nato aniha kay you will still answer the lab worksheet just like what you did in experiment number 1. Okay? And when we will be having then the face-to-face performance of the lab, same pod gihapon. Mag-post gihapon ko sa lab guide sa Google Classroom. All you have to do is i-print na lang to. Then it's where you will be answering the answers to the questions, and at the same time dito po ninyo i-note ang data and results for the given experiment. Okay? Wala day available nga manual for this kay nahitabo man gud you are already under the new curriculum because of the addition of 2 years sa K to 12. So, ang available good karon nga na ay lab manual, it's the, physics for engineers. So, wala pa so far para sa inyo ha. Thus, um, my co-teacher and I and also another teacher from another campus nagsabot me to come up with a lab manual especially designed for this degree programs that are non-engineering kay para inig-perform sa lab dili na pud kaayo tasky sa part sa teacher nga mag-upload pa sa Google Classroom at the same time mag-print pa sad mo labi na ko ipasubmit sa inyo a hard copy ang worksheets kay kung natay lab manual dito na ninyo i-write ang data, your observations from the experiment, at the same time answers to the guide questions. So all I have to do is to collect the lab manuals. So wala man tayo available nga lab manual as of the moment, I ask you then to utilize the lab worksheets that I am uploading in the Google Classroom in lieu of the absence of the lab manual. At the same time, ako na po mismo ang mo upload na lang sa Google Classroom ang lab guide. Kaya kung napalay lab manual, everything is already compiled in the lab manual. Ang procedures, ang katong asa i-present ang data, ang observation, and at the same time, ang answers to the guide questions. Okay? Pero sige lang, bahala wala tay laman nga available as of the moment. What is important is na perform gihapon nato ang expected set of experiments and we're able then to achieve the expected objectives and learning outcomes for this degree program. Bahalag na atay schedule nga online or naputay face-to-face, ang importante class is we are actually learning o na-meet nato ang expected learning outcomes mo na importante. Okay, I think you have seen already the changes kay high flex naman ta. So naagi times good nga face to face and online good ang means and mode nato of meeting. Okay? I think I already explained to you nga wa na ko nagpaabot kanu sa atatagaan o lab assignment, laboratory assignment for our room. Good thing nga naan na. So next week mag-perform it face to face. But sayang kaayo kung wa ta nagsugod, di ba? The past week and for this week kung magpaabot pa ta kanu sa atatagaan og room. So mo na nga nay uban that I intend you to perform online or perform it at home. Experiment number 2 is a perfect example of a home experiment in physics. So, pwede din na maka-perform o experiments at home, ma'am. Yes, that's possible. You can utilize also materials at home. Ang importante, class, is you are guided on how to perform it. Kay sa lab, same man gyapon ang setup. Ang nakanindot lang gid sa lab kay mas sophisticated ang materials. Sa example sa kanang free fall method, naaman ni kanang apparatus class, um, labi na sa kanang mga other universities nga nagig ka ng mga motion sensors nga naigtagak yun sa bula, automatic dayon nga mo register ang amount of time of fall. Nga i-feed dayon siya sa imong laptop or computer, then automatic i-graph na pud niya ang motion sa free falling body. So katong distance versus time graph, 2D versus t square graph, makita dayon. So makalculate dayon niyo diretso pila ang slope sa kaninga given graph. So makalculate niya ninyo ang pila ang percent error for that given experiment. However, wala taan na, sige lang, bahalag, medyo mano-mano ang ato ang setup. Ang importante is nakasabot ta sa atong gi-perform o sa method that we actually used. Okay? Nasabtan na ba ko? Class?
Yes, miss.
Okay, sige. Hilom lagi ka ang uman. Are you still there?
Nara, miss.
Yes.
Okay, sige. Okay, so this time, I want you then to open your camera. Kaya para mag-screenshot na ko, okay na siya ta mag-screenshot. Kaya evidence man ni sa ato ang meeting, online meeting. Di man parehong face-to-face nga makit-anda yung tamo, di ba? Okay. Sige. Alright. Sige. As I count 1, 2, 3, in 3 seconds, o smile ta. Smile sa gwapa o gwapo. Katawa si Ashley. Okay, sige. Alright. In 3, 2, 1, smile everyone. Okay, so that's it. Once again, class, thank you for joining our meeting for this afternoon. And I'll be uploading all of the materials, class, in the Google Classroom. If in case na amoy pangutan sa experiment number 2, especially sa pag-perform ani, kay importante kaayo class nga sakto yung pagka-perform para ang graph that you will be having sakto para sakto po ang iyong makompute nga present error and the theoretical value of G. Okay, so ayog hesitate to ask questions from me. Okay? So, I'll see you then next week. So, face-to-face na ta. Paka-perform na kita finally sa laboratory. 5A ha, ayaw kalimti. Goodbye, everyone.